toast. Oh, I must have forgotten something.
Hamburger helper.
Stroganoff.
Makes a great meal.
We've got fried chicken, turkey, and Salisbury steak.
From lavish banquets to classic family meals, some of the most famous dinners have vanished from our tables. Imagine the dishes that once graced royal feasts in popular restaurants, but are now forgotten. Join us as we explore 1 hour of famous dinners that have faded into history. Let's explore the journey of strawberry shortcake next. Strawberry shortcake, a classic summer treat, evokes images of picnics and sunny afternoons with the delight of biting into fresh strawberries. Its history is as layered as the dessert itself. The origins of strawberry shortcake date back centuries. Native Americans once combined berries and cornmeal to make a bread-like dessert similar to a shortcake. By 1594, an English cookbook included a version of strawberry shortcake using a scone-like base, different from today's biscuit-style shortcake. In the early 20th century, Japanese baker Fuji Rinneman tasted strawberry shortcake in the U.S. in 1910 and brought the recipe back to Japan, where it gained popularity. The classic version of this dessert consists of sweet biscuits or sponge cake, fresh strawberries sliced and sweetened, and a generous layer of whipped cream. Strawberry shortcake was once a Southern tradition celebrating summer's fruit harvest and reached its peak in the 1980s with the strawberry shortcake franchise. However, its widespread popularity eventually led to its decline as it became more common.
And my grandmother often made her Polish version of stuffed cabbage, too. We call it gołąbki.
For many baby boomers, Gołąbki night was the highlight of the week. These Polish cabbage rolls, affectionately known as gołąbki, turned an ordinary dinner into a nostalgic feast. Imagine coming home from school to the irresistible aroma of tender cabbage leaves stuffed with a savory mixture of beef, pork, rice, and spices. Each roll was lovingly prepared, with the cabbage leaves wrapped around the hearty filling and simmered in a tangy tomato sauce. It wasn't just a meal, it was an event. Gathered around the table with family, everyone would eagerly dive into their gołąbki, savoring the comforting blend of flavors and the hearty, homey feel of the dish. Gołąbki night wasn't just about the food. It was about tradition, family, and the joy of sharing a beloved meal that brought everyone together. For those who grew up with it, gołąbki remains a delicious reminder of the warmth and togetherness of childhood dinners.
Do you want a meal that pleases everyone, is easy to make, and comes together in one pot? Goulash.
Goulash is every baby boomer's ultimate comfort food. Growing up, nothing brought the family together like a steaming pot of this hearty dish. Unlike its Hungarian cousin, American goulash is a one-pot wonder that combines the simplicity of ground beef with the rich flavors of seasoned tomatoes, bell peppers, and pasta. Imagine a large Dutch oven filled with sizzling ground beef, cooked until browned and mingled with tender onions and garlic. The addition of Italian seasoning, paprika, and a splash of Worcestershire sauce takes this dish from ordinary to unforgettable. With a base of canned tomatoes and beef broth, it transforms into a flavorful sauce that simmers alongside elbow macaroni until perfectly tender. A sprinkle of sharp white cheddar melts into the goulash for that extra touch, adding a creamy finish that kids adore. Goulash remains a symbol of home-cooked warmth, bridging the gap between generations with its enduring appeal and satisfying taste. Icebox cake, a nostalgic American treat, is all about simplicity and cool indulgence. With layers of crisp cookies or graham crackers stacked with fluffy whipped cream and then chilled until they turn into a creamy, sliceable dessert. This dessert's history dates back to the late 1800s when refrigeration was becoming more common. Classic desserts like charlotte and trifle inspired it. By the 1920s, as the icebox, an early version of the refrigerator became popular, so did icebox cake. This no-bake dessert was perfect for busy home cooks. The cake typically features layers of thin Nabisco famous chocolate wafers spread with sweetened whipped cream. The wafers would soften overnight, blending the flavors and textures beautifully. The icebox cake enjoyed its peak in the 1920s and 30s, benefiting from convenient prepackaged ingredients. Nabisco even included recipes on its product boxes, further boosting its popularity. Tamale pie, a classic meal that danced across the dinner table back in the day. It was a hearty casserole with a base of savory chili-like beef or pork, simmered to perfection with onions, tomatoes, and a touch of cayenne pepper for a gentle kick. This flavorful mixture is layered with golden cornmeal batter and baked until bubbling and crispy on top. For many, preparing tamale pie was a cherished family event. The process, from melting lard in a frying pan to seasoning the meat with just the right spice, filled the home with comforting aromas. The final step, baking the casserole to a mouth-watering crisp, was always worth the wait. As the timer dinged and the pie emerged from the oven, the anticipation of that first warm, satisfying bite was a highlight of the day. Tamale pie was a simple pleasure, a taste of home that brought smiles and satisfaction to every dinner table.
Today on the Stay at Home Chef, I'm showing you how to make chicken a la king.
Chicken a la king. Now, that meal brings back a flood of fond memories. Back in the day, it was the epitome of comfort food. Coming home from school to the aroma of creamy chicken sauce simmering away in the kitchen was a delight. This wasn't just any chicken dish. It was diced chicken in a rich velvety cream sauce, often with a splash of sherry for that extra sophistication. The mushrooms and vegetables added a delightful mix of textures and flavors, making each bite a little adventure. Whether served over rice, noodles, or even a slice of toast, it felt like a warm hug on a plate. And if we were lucky, it came nestled in a vol au vent or pastry case, turning a simple dinner into something special. Sundays or special occasions often featured chicken a la king, and it became a beloved staple of our childhood. It was the kind of meal that made us feel fancy, even if we were just sitting around the family table. Those days when a home-cooked meal like this brought everyone together, creating memories that have lasted a lifetime.
This is one of our most popular recipes on Pinterest. It's the classic Swiss steak.
Swiss steak was the star of meals, a beloved classic that brought everyone together. Many can still smell the mouth-watering aroma of braised beef steak simmered to perfection in a rich tomato-based gravy. The tender meat was cooked with love and accompanied by various vegetables that soaked up all the delicious flavors. Mom would serve it steaming hot, the savory sauce mingling with mashed potatoes or rice on our plates. Every bite tasted like home, a comforting reminder of simpler times. We shared stories, laughter, and sometimes even squabbles, but Swiss steak constantly improved everything. It was more than just a meal. It was a tradition, a piece of our childhood that still warms our hearts. Swiss steak was family, love, and the essence of Sunday evenings for baby boomers everywhere. Oh, the memories of chicken divan. Every baby boomer kid can recall the comforting aroma that filled the kitchen as this beloved dish was prepared. Recall the bustling kitchen, where Mom was at the stove, her apron dusted with flour and a warm smile on her face. The chicken simmered gently in a pot, sending savory steam into the air, promising a delicious meal. As the chicken cooked, kids gathered around, eagerly anticipating the moment they could help. Mom expertly chopped the broccoli and the green florets, starkly contrasting the creamy sauce she was whipping up. The family's laughter and chatter filled the room, making the kitchen the heart of the home. But it wasn't just about the food. It was about those little moments that made it special. Stories that caused giggles and a kind smile from a guest, or the excitement of peeking into the oven to see the dish bubbling away, the golden topping forming perfectly. When the chicken divan finally came out of the oven, it was a masterpiece of comfort and love. It was a cherished tradition that brought the family together, creating memories that would last a lifetime. Beyond the chicken divan, who could ever forget the ultimate kid pleaser? Moving forward, let's take a look at a meal that could whisk you away from the magic of childhood.
City chicken. That's right. And by chicken, of course, I mean pork. Because what city chicken is actually a mock chicken drumstick.
City chicken was one of those meals every baby boomer kid cherished. Think of a skewer of tender pork cubes, lovingly seasoned and coated in a crispy batter. Deep fried to golden perfection, then baked until just right, city chicken was like a surprise twist on fried chicken. The joy of city chicken was not just in its flavor, but in the fun of eating it. Each skewer felt like a little celebration on your plate. Whether served with fluffy mashed potatoes, a side of green beans, or a slice of warm bread, it brought excitement to family dinners. Even though it's not as common today, the memory of those flavorful skewers can still make you wish for one more bite of childhood adventures. Remember the days when deviled ham was a staple in everyone's pantry? This savory treat was a favorite for many baby boomer kids, transforming ordinary meals into something special. Made from finely chopped ham mixed with spices, deviled ham could be spread on crackers, used as a dip, or topped onto sandwiches. Its rich, smoky flavor made it a perfect way to use leftover ham, making it a delicious, versatile dish. Kids would eagerly look forward to school lunches featuring deviled ham sandwiches, each bite bursting with that distinctive taste of home. Whether paired with a crisp apple or enjoyed with a side of chips, it was a meal that brought comfort and joy. Even though tastes have evolved, there's something wonderfully nostalgic about this simple, hearty spread. It's a taste of the past that many still fondly remember and cherish. Ah, the beef and bean casserole. A true staple of family dinners that every baby boomer kid adored. Imagine a hearty blend of ground beef and savory baked beans simmered together to create a comforting and quick dish. This classic casserole wasn't just about filling your belly. It was about bringing the family together for a satisfying meal. Topped with golden fluffy biscuits, the casserole had a sweet and savory flavor, making it a hit for kids and adults. It was the perfect symbol of convenience cooking. Simple ingredients, minimal prep time, and delicious results. On busy nights or chilly evenings, the dish was a go-to for busy parents who wanted to serve up something as easy as it was satisfying. It's time now for a Chinese-American recipe.
Furong Dan, aka Egg Foo Young. This dish is a Hong Kong cha canteen classic.
Egg Foo Young. What a classic! This dish is so much more than a simple omelet. At its core, eggs mixed with a colorful medley of vegetables and, occasionally, tender morsels of meat, all cooked until they're golden and crisp on the edges while remaining fluffy and tender in the middle. The real star is the savory gravy that's ladled over the top. It's not just any gravy. It's a rich, flavorful sauce that seeps into the omelet's crispy edges and soft interior, creating a delightful contrast in textures. Every bite combines crunchy and tender with a burst of goodness from the gravy. Egg Foo Young has been a cherished favorite for many. It offers a comforting taste of Chinese-American cuisine, perfect for family dinners. This dish brings back memories of cozy meals and hearty flavors, making it timeless comfort food.
All love familiar comfort foods, but when it's really made from scratch, like this tuna noodle casserole, it's definitely a cut above the rest.
Tuna noodle casserole first appeared in the Pacific Northwest in the 1930s. Mrs. W.F.S. of Kennewick, Washington, submitted the recipe to Sunset Magazine. It was made with egg noodles, canned tuna, a white sauce from butter, flour, and milk, and a breadcrumb topping. Over time, variations emerged, like using cream of mushroom soup instead of white sauce and adding peas, cheese, potato chips, or cornflakes on top. This dish gained massive popularity in the 1950s as a comfort food for all. Its ingredients, like canned tuna and cream of mushroom soup, were inexpensive and easy to find. A 1959 survey showed that canned tuna was served weekly in 8 out of 10 households, with tuna casseroles in the top 3. Though its popularity faded due to changing taste, tuna noodle casserole is now returning and is celebrated once again as a classic comforting meal.
So I'm starting off with my ham and cheese bake, and I'm using leftover vegetables, leftover cheese from my meat and cheese platter.
Ham and cheese casserole emerged in the U.S. during the mid-20th century. It likely drew inspiration from European dishes like Austrian Schinkenfleckerin. This casserole included egg noodles, chopped cooked ham, cheddar cheese, eggs, milk or cream, butter, onions, and breadcrumbs, or crispy fried onions as toppings. The original recipe for this delicious dish involved layering cooked egg noodles with chopped ham and cheese with eggs and cream. The mixture was then baked until set. Variations included adding onions, spices like caraway seeds, and different toppings. The dish was a practical, economical way to use leftover ham and stretch ingredients to feed a family. However, as people sought healthier meals, it became less popular. What initially began with European influences, the American version developed its unique ingredients and preparation style. If it's a funeral dish, then why is it so delicious? Let's talk about cheesy potato casserole.
It's a really really fast meal to make. We're gonna make a ground beef stroganoff casserole.
Beef stroganoff casserole emerged in the U.S. during the 1950s and 60s, inspired by the classic Russian dish. The original Russian beef stroganoff, famous in the mid-19th century, consisted of sautéed beef and a mustard and sour cream sauce. The American version included beef or hamburger, egg noodles, condensed cream of mushroom soup, milk, sour cream, mushrooms, and crispy fried onions as a topping. Sounds delicious, doesn't it? The 1871 Russian recipe involved beef cubes in a dry marinade, sautéed in butter with a simple roux sauce mixed with both mustard and broth, and a bit of sour cream to do the trick. It did not include onions, mushrooms, or alcohol. The casserole version gained popularity in the U.S. due to the availability of canned cream of mushroom soup and ease of preparation. Though its popularity waned over time, it's now being rediscovered as a comforting classic with its unique American ingredients and preparation.
Today I'm going to show you how to make this loaded baked potato casserole.
Cheesy potato casserole, often called funeral potatoes, is a beloved dish in Southern and Mormon cultures in the U.S. It's commonly served at gatherings, particularly after funerals, due to its ease of preparation and ability to feed many people. This casserole's ingredients include frozen hash browns, cream of chicken soup, sour cream, shredded cheddar cheese, butter, and spices for taste. The original recipe involves mixing the soup, sour cream, melted butter, and seasonings with hash browns and cheese. It's topped with crushed cornflakes or breadcrumbs and baked until bubbly and golden brown. While its popularity declined as dietary trends shifted towards healthier eating, cheesy potato casserole has recently returned. People are rediscovering its comforting qualities and versatility for various gatherings and family meals. With its rich history and delightful taste, this dish brings joy to many tables. Who wouldn't recall the next go-to meal taught in home economics? Next up, we have tamale pie. Growing up in the 60s and 70s, shrimp creole was a dish that brought a taste of Louisiana to our kitchens. This classic meal starts with the holy trinity of Louisiana cooking: celery, onion, and bell pepper, finely chopped and sautéed in butter until tender. Adding garlic brings a depth of flavor that makes your mouth water. The magic happens as these veggies cook in buttery goodness, releasing their rich, savory aroma. A spicy tomato sauce infuses the shrimp with a robust, tangy kick. Served over a bed of fluffy rice, shrimp creole was a favorite at family dinners. Its combination of spicy and savory flavors created a comforting and exciting dish. Now, here's a classic favorite from back in the day.
When I was a little kid, my dad used to make mock chicken legs whenever my mom was working, on a Friday or a Saturday night here and there.
Mock chicken legs were a beloved meal in the 60s and 70s. These clever treats were crafted from breaded and fried veal or pork, shaped to resemble drumsticks. A budget-friendly alternative to real chicken, they captured the imagination with their unique form and crispy coating. Dinner was always more exciting, with mock chicken legs on the table. The crunchy golden exterior gave way to juicy, tender meat inside. Served alongside mashed potatoes and peas, these mock drumsticks became a comforting, nostalgic staple of family meals and school lunches. Their popularity was a testament to the ingenuity of home cooks looking to stretch their food budget while delivering a fun and satisfying meal. Though mock chicken legs might not be as standard today, they remain a fond memory of childhood simplicity and creativity.
This is stick to your ribs kind of eating. Don't miss the key ingredients in our cowboy beef and beans.
Growing up, nothing said comfort food quite like potato chip casserole. It was a staple of family dinners, a dish that brought warmth and nostalgia to every table. The creamy blend of chicken or tuna mixed with hash browns, topped with a crunchy layer of potato chips, was a simple yet beloved recipe that could turn an ordinary meal into something special. For many baby boomers, gathering around the kitchen table as mom or dad pulled a casserole from the oven was a cherished routine. The aroma of bubbling cream and the crispy crunch of potato chips on top filled the house, signaling the comforting end of a long day. The joy wasn't just in the eating, but in the shared experience of family dinners, where everyone eagerly dug into that golden brown topping. Chiffon cake, a delightful creation, made its debut in the 1920s thanks to Harry Baker, an insurance salesman from Los Angeles. He invented a cake that combined the lightness of angel food cake with the richness of butter cake, using salad oil instead of butter. For nearly 20 years, Baker kept his recipe a secret, creating a buzz among Hollywood's elite with its delicate texture and hint of citrus. In the late 1940s, General Mills acquired Baker's recipe, and chiffon cake burst onto the scene, with Betty Crocker leading the promotion of its airy layers. The 1948 release of Betty Crocker's Orange Chiffon Cake was an instant hit, praised for its simplicity and moistness. Over the following decades, variations like chocolate and fruit-filled chiffon cakes became popular, but eventually its fame faded, overshadowed by newer trends. Despite this, chiffon cake was a beloved treat, honoring Baker's innovative spirit.
Chocolate, chocolate, chocolate snacks that will make your mouth say chocolate, chocolate, chocolate.
Chocolate fondue, with its rich cascade of melted chocolate, was a highlight at many gatherings. Its roots trace back to Switzerland, where the traditional cheese fondue became popular in the 1950s, inspiring fondue parties with special pots and utensils. However, the sweet version, chocolate fondue, emerged from a collaboration between Chef Conrad Elgey of New York's Chalet Swiss restaurant and Toblerone's marketing team. In the 1960s, Chef Elgey, known for his savory bourguignon fondue, introduced chocolate fondue as a dessert, with Toblerone's distinctive triangular chocolate adding a special touch. The basic recipe involves melting high-quality milk chocolate with heavy cream and optional brandy, creating a luscious dip for fruits, marshmallows, and cake. Despite its initial popularity, chocolate fondue gradually lost favor, possibly due to newer culinary trends capturing attention.
Dessert? I didn't make dessert. Oh, instead, I made some fun.
Make some fun.
You've already made the neighborhood fun.
Jell-O molds, those wobbly and colorful dishes, were a highlight of mid-century dining, capturing the spirit of the time. Jell-O's story began in the late 19th century when a struggling patent medicine maker sold the recipe for just $450 to our great-great-great-uncle. By the mid-20th century, Jell-O was a kitchen staple, often shaped into fun forms like pineapples, stars, and fish. It was popular in gelatin salads mixed with fruits, vegetables, or meat, making it a versatile and affordable choice for potlucks and picnics.
When it comes to entertaining, there's nothing quite like Jell-O. It's so bright, so colorful, it's like something out of Wonderland.
However, behind the scenes, the Jell-O curse plagued the family connected to the brand with issues like alcoholism and suicide. As times changed, Jell-O's image suffered with the rise of feminism and shifting taste. By the 1980s, the era of Jell-O molds had passed, yet Jell-O remains a memorable part of American culinary history. Jell-O molds captured the essence of mid-century dining, but as taste shifted, new creations began to take their place. What makes pineapple upside-down cake a classic treat that still stands the test of time? Let's explore its intriguing history and caramelized charm next. Pineapple upside-down cake is a treat featuring a golden gooey cake topped with caramelized pineapple rings and bright maraschino cherries. Its history is quite interesting. The idea of upside-down cakes goes back to medieval times when pies and tarts were flipped to serve. By the mid-19th century, upside-down cakes with apples or cherries became popular. These cakes were practical because they decorated themselves as they baked and could be made in skillets over coals, which was useful for homes without ovens. Pineapples were once a luxury enjoyed by the wealthy in the 16th and 17th centuries. James Drummond Dole, who founded the Hawaiian Pineapple Company in 1901, sparked renewed interest in pineapples through clever marketing. In 1925, a recipe contest held by Dole led to the creation of a pineapple upside-down cake by Mrs. Robert Davis. The contest saw over 60,000 entries, with 2,500 dedicated to this cake. Betty Crocker's 1969 recipe, using Dole pineapple, helped establish its place in American homes.
Bite out of this velvety, smooth chocolate pudding to make room for chocolate.
Chocolate pudding, that smooth and comforting treat, has delighted dessert lovers for generations. Its history goes back to 1730 when wealthy people enjoyed this rich chocolatey custard. Back then, chocolate pudding wasn't just a dessert, it was a sign of sophistication. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it was also seen as a nourishing food for those needing a calorie boost, though it wasn't exactly a healthy food. In 1934, General Foods introduced a chocolate pudding mix called Walter Baker's Dessert, later playfully renamed Pickles Pudding in 1936, making it easy for anyone to prepare at home. Despite its past popularity, chocolate pudding has become less prominent over time, possibly due to changing taste or safety concerns. However, homemade versions and store-bought options like Jell-O pudding still bring this classic delight to our tables. Blondies, also known as blonde brownies or butterscotch brownies, are similar to regular brownies but without the cocoa. These chewy golden bars have a rich flavor that's sweet and buttery. Blondies first appeared in the late 19th century in the U.S. with Fannie Farmer, a notable cook, publishing the earliest known recipe in 1896. Back then, Farmer called them brownies, though they used vanilla and molasses instead of cocoa, which gave them their distinctive gold color. The name brownies was inspired by the small, elf-like creatures in popular books and cartoons of the time. Unlike traditional brownies, blondies use brown sugar for sweetness and flavor, with vanilla extract adding to their buttery taste. They can include chocolate chips, coconut, nuts, toffee, or M&Ms, but are often enjoyed plain. Once a popular treat among baby boomers, blondies have become less common, perhaps due to their simplicity and lack of chocolate. What happened to other iconic dishes from this era? Let's explore ambrosia salad and its sweet nostalgia.
Ambrosia, some of that semi-stiff cream, some more ambrosia.
Ambrosia salad evokes a wave of nostalgia, recalling a time when this sweet dish graced many mid-century tables. Originating in the 1900s, it was named after the food of Greek gods, promising a touch of celestial indulgence, and with a bowl filled with shredded coconut, canned pineapple chunks, mini marshmallows, and mandarin oranges, sometimes topped with maraschino cherries for added color. The dressing varied from sour cream to Cool Whip, a fluffy delight from the 60s, or even homemade whipped cream. Occasionally, grapes, pecans, or apple slices were included to enhance the flavor. In the 1920s, Philadelphia's Stephen F. Whitman & Son ingeniously promoted their new marshmallow whip through Food Columnist, leading to recipes featuring this fluffy ingredient in newspapers. By 1966, Cool Whip, introduced by General Foods, became a staple in ambrosia salad, boosting its popularity. However, over time, ambrosia salad began to disappear as its once special ingredients became more common. Cherry's Jubilee is a classic dessert that once wowed guests at fancy restaurants and dinner parties. Imagine juicy dark cherries soaked in liqueur, set on fire, and then poured over creamy vanilla ice cream. Baby boomers especially love this sweet and tangy treat. The dessert first appeared in the late 19th century, created by the famous French chef Auguste Escoffier. He reportedly made it for Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee in 1897. Picture cherries flaming with brandy, their rich flavor blending with the warm alcohol. Cherry's Jubilee became a big hit in the 1950s and 60s, shining in upscale restaurants. Home cooks also impressed their guests by flambeing it at the table, with cherries burning brightly. However, by the late 1960s, the dessert had lost its charm and fell out of fashion, leaving behind just fond memories of its extravagant display and delicious taste. Cherry's Jubilee, once the dazzling star of upscale dining, captured hearts with its flambéed cherries and rich flavor.
Delicious corn casserole. Now this is an old recipe that goes back many years. It's an oldie, but a goodie.
Cornbread casserole, or corn pudding or spoon bread, originated in the southern U.S. and has roots in Native American cuisine. The original recipe included cornmeal, milk or cream, eggs, butter, and salt. These ingredients were combined and baked until the casserole had a light, fluffy texture that could be eaten with a spoon. Variations later introduced sugar, cheese, or whole kernel corn. Its association with heavy, creamy casseroles contributed to its decline. However, it has recently seen a resurgence as people rediscover its comforting qualities and versatility as a side dish or dessert. Modern recipes often incorporate convenience ingredients like Jiffy corn muffin mix, making it easier to prepare. Cornbread casserole remains a beloved dish in the American South, a staple at gatherings and holidays, with children shouting, "Whoopee!" upon discovering them in their lunch pails. Food historians agree that whoopie pies emerged around the 1920s and belong to the same dessert family as scooter pies, moon pies, and devil dogs. The treat consists of two soft chocolatey cookies with a creamy center resembling a handheld cake, perfect for picnics, school lunches, or midnight cravings. While not as prominent today, whoopie pies remain a cherished, nostalgic dessert. In mid-century America, where kitchens were lively and colorful, divinity was a staple at holiday gatherings and church potlucks. This nougat-like candy, both delicate and sweet, was a true labor of love. Its origins are as mysterious as its name. Some believe it came from the southern United States, while others think it has French roots. Regardless, divinity emerged in the early 20th century, captivating many with its unique texture. Making divinity required great patience and skill. Egg whites were whipped into glossy peaks, and hot sugar syrup, often mixed with corn syrup, was poured in carefully. The temperature had to be just right. Too hot and the candy would crystallize. Too cool and it wouldn't set. Pecans were then folded into the mixture, filling the kitchen with a scent of vanilla as the candy cooled on wax paper. Despite its heavenly taste, divinity eventually faded from popularity, likely due to the rise of convenience foods and the decline of home candy making. As we explored the meticulous craft of divinity, we uncovered the sweet traditions of mid-century American kitchens. But
I see bananas when I look in your eyes. I'd shower you with coconut cream pies.
coconut cream pie, a smooth and creamy dessert, appeared in the early 20th century. Imagine a custard-like filling with a tropical coconut flavor, nestled in a flaky crust and topped with whipped cream or meringue. In the 1800s, tropical fruits like bananas and pineapples were popular in America, but coconuts lagged due to their tough shells and perishability. Early attempts include cocoa nut cream in an 1824 cookbook and coconut pie in an 1843 book, foreshadowing the coconut cream pie. The breakthrough came in the 1890s when French exporters in Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, shredded and dried coconut, making it more accessible. By the early 20th century, variations of coconut cream pie appeared in cookbooks featuring custard, flaky crust, and coconut shavings. Although its popularity has waned due to changing taste and health concerns, coconut cream pie remains a nostalgic treat for special occasions. Eggplant Parmesan casserole likely originated in the U.S. in the mid-20th century as a variation of the classic Italian dish. It combines breaded and baked eggplant slices with tomato sauce, mozzarella, and Parmesan cheese in a casserole format. Ingredients for eggplant Parmesan casserole include eggplant, breadcrumbs, eggs, milk, olive oil, tomato sauce, mozzarella, Parmesan cheese, and optionally, fresh basil. The original recipe involves breading and baking the eggplant slices, then layering them in a casserole dish with tomato sauce and cheese. The casserole is baked until the cheese is melted and bubbly. Eggplant Parmesan casserole became famous as a convenient and comforting dish. It allowed home cooks to enjoy the flavors of eggplant Parmesan with less hands-on preparation. Recipes for the dish continue to be shared and enjoyed today, often with variations to suit modern taste and dietary preferences.
Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make these super easy, super delicious loaded scalloped potatoes, the simple way.
Scalloped potatoes and ham is a classic American dish that likely emerged in the early to mid-20th century as a way to use leftover ham. This dish became popular in the 50s and 60s when casseroles were a household staple. It reflects the trend of creating hearty one-dish meals that are easy to prepare and serve to families. Ingredients included thinly sliced potatoes, diced ham, butter, flour, milk or cream, cheddar cheese, chopped onion, seasonings, and sometimes thyme or garlic. The recipe involves making a white sauce by cooking onions in butter, adding flour and whisking in milk or cream. Sliced potatoes and ham are layered in a baking dish, topped with a sauce, and baked until tender and golden brown. Scalloped potatoes and ham remained a cherished comfort food, especially during holidays and family gatherings. They're loved by all for their rich flavors and nostalgic appeal. Let's talk about the comfort meal from the Civil War that prevailed even after it. Next, we have cornbread casserole. Everyone enjoys the following culinary mixture of different taste. Now, we'll talk about jambalaya casserole. Jambalaya casserole is a variation of the traditional jambalaya dish, which originated in Louisiana in the early 18th century. This dish blends African, Spanish, and French culinary influences, evolving from the need to create hearty meals using local ingredients. This delicious jambalaya casserole is made with long-grain white rice, sausage, chicken, shrimp, or seafood, tomatoes, broth, and seasonings like Cajun or spices. The original recipe involves browning the sausage and chicken, sautéing the vegetables, adding rice and broth, and baking until the rice is cooked and flavors meld. Jambalaya evolved from Spanish settlers attempting to recreate paella using local ingredients. It became a staple in Creole and Cajun cuisine, especially in New Orleans. Despite changing culinary trends, jambalaya casserole remains a beloved comfort food enjoyed at potlucks, showcasing its rich flavors and versatility. Beef and biscuit casserole is a comforting dish rooted in American cuisine, trendy in the mid-20th century. It reflects the trend of creating hearty, one-dish meals that are easy to prepare and serve. And no, it's not a sweet dish. This casserole is cooked with ground beef, onion, bell pepper, tomato sauce, or canned tomatoes, with other seasonings. It also includes refrigerated biscuits and cheese, often cheddar. The original recipe involves browning the beef with onions and bell peppers, mixing tomato sauce and seasonings, and layering this mixture in a baking dish. Biscuit dough is placed on top, baked until golden brown, and cooked through. Even today, beef and biscuits are known as a hearty and satisfying meal, and they're still served at parties and potlucks. Just like its name, our next dish is truly royal. Let's hear about chicken Devon.
Took our green bean casserole out of the oven, and look how scrumptious and delicious that is. All bubbly around the edges.
Green bean casserole is a classic American dish created in 1955 by Dorcas Riley at the Campbell Soup Company. It has become a must-have dish at Thanksgiving dinners, known for its simplicity and convenience. The dish originated in the U.S., specifically in the Campbell's Test Kitchens in Camden, New Jersey. It was developed when convenience cooking was on the rise, particularly in post-World War II America, when families sought quick and easy meals using readily available ingredients. Go-to ingredients for green bean casserole include canned or frozen green beans, cream of mushroom soup, milk, soy sauce, black pepper, and French fried onions. The original recipe involved mixing the green beans, cream of mushroom soup, milk, soy sauce, and black pepper in a baking dish. It was topped with fried onions and baked until hot and bubbly, adding more fried onions for a crispy finish for the last few minutes. Mainly during Thanksgiving, green bean casserole is celebrated as a classic comfort food.
I'm going to show you an easy version of tamale pie. I have several tamale pie videos that I make from scratch.
Tamale pie was first invented in the early 1900s in the U.S., likely in Texas. By the mid-1910s, it was included in home economics curricula nationwide, showing its growing popularity as a convenient and comforting dish. Tamale pie is made with beef, chicken or turkey, cornmeal for the crust, canned tomatoes or chili sauce, cheese, beans, corn, and sometimes olives. The original recipe typically involved layering the beef and tomato mixture between layers of cornmeal mush or topping it with a cornbread crust. Early versions focused on using readily available ingredients, making it an economical dish during times of scarcity during World War I. Despite its decline, tamale pie remains a nostalgic comfort food for many and has seen occasional resurgences in popularity. Today, people seek hearty, home-cooked meals, and this dish delivers just that. Now let's talk about the Italian version of casserole known as baked ziti.
After turkey sandwiches and turkey noodle soup, I still have turkey up to my ears. So we're gonna make a classic, turkey tetrazzini.
Turkey tetrazzini's origins are debated. Some associated its creation with Chef Ernest Arbogast at the Palace Hotel in San Francisco, while others suggest it was developed at the Knickerbocker Hotel in New York City. So, how do we make it? Add cooked turkey or chicken, pasta, mushrooms, peas, a creamy sauce made with butter, flour, and milk, Parmesan cheese, and seasonings to your casserole pot, and then just turn on the oven. If you want to make it according to the original recipe, use pasta, saute mushrooms, and prepare a creamy sauce to combine with turkey and pasta. Bake it until it's bubbly and golden brown. Turkey tetrazzini gained popularity as a way to use leftover turkey, especially after Thanksgiving. It became a staple in American households during the 1970s. It's still enjoyed today to repurpose leftover turkey. Now let's discuss the popular dish brought to America from the UK. Yes, we're talking about shepherd's pie. Rice pudding, a creamy and comforting dessert, has a history spanning thousands of years in various cultures. Its journey began around 6000 BC in India as kashir or kashirka intertwined with legends of Krishna, a Hindu deity. Krishna's chess match wager, involving exponentially doubling grains of rice, led to a mountain of rice for the king of Ambalapuzha. Even earlier, during Roman times, rice pudding served medicinal purposes, soothing stomach upsets. Ancient physicians prescribed warm bowls of rice pudding to ease discomfort. Now, by the 14th century, rice pudding had traveled across continents, captivating Europe and the Middle East during the Islamic Golden Age. Renaissance chefs enhanced it with spices, fruits, and nuts. By the 18th century, rice pudding had become an everyday dish, popular due to affordable rice imports. However, as taste evolved, rice pudding lost its appeal and faded from prominence, perhaps due to its familiarity breeding indifference. Baked Alaska is a dessert that combines ice cream with warm meringue, creating a delightful contrast. It consists of a layer of sponge cake topped with ice cream, all encased in a meringue shell. The origins of Baked Alaska are debated, with some attributing it to Antoine Alciator of Antoine's Restaurant in New Orleans, while others credit Charles Ranhofer of Delmonico's Restaurant in New York City. The dessert's name commemorates the 1867 U.S. acquisition of Alaska. Despite its complexity, Baked Alaska manages to keep the ice cream intact through a brief bake at a high temperature of 260 degrees Celsius or by using a butane torch. Though vanilla was traditionally used, various flavors like chocolate, strawberry, and pistachio have also been explored. While its popularity has waned due to modern dessert trends and the challenge of preparation, it remains a remarkable treat that can be made at home, often paired with fruit for added flair. A new dessert sensation was emerging. With a zesty twist and a fluffy topping, could lemon meringue pie be the fresh delight that captured hearts? Let's explore how this tangy treat became a classic favorite.
Pie for dessert. Lemon meringue pie.
Lemon meringue pie, with its bright yellow filling and fluffy meringue topping, has delighted dessert lovers for generations. This tangy treat originated in Philadelphia in the Victorian era thanks to Mrs. Elizabeth Goodfellow. She ran America's first cooking school and transformed her famous lemon pudding into what we know now as lemon meringue pie. By the mid-19th century, culinary influencer Eliza Leslie helped popularize meringue-topped desserts, making lemon meringue pie as a household favorite. Even President Abraham Lincoln was said to enjoy it. Today, this pie is a classic, often found in diners and cherished in the American South, where its refreshing lemon flavor complements the warm climate. However, not all stories end sweetly. Edwards lemon meringue pie, once a freezer aisle staple, has become harder to find, leaving fans wondering why it was discontinued. It remains available at select retailers like Walmart, Amazon, Kroger, and Edwards' official website.
Today on the Stay at Home Chef, I'm showing you how to make the best baked chicken and rice casserole.
Chicken and rice casserole is a classic comfort dish with roots in American cuisine. It was trendy in the mid-20th century and reflects the trend of creating hearty one-dish meals that are easy to prepare and serve. Cooking chicken and rice casserole is relatively easy. You'll need rotisserie chicken, instant or long grain white rice, and cream soups. Then gather cream of chicken, celery, mushrooms, water and milk, and seasonings. Add toppings like grated cheese or crushed crackers to add texture, and voila! Your chicken and rice casserole is ready. Interestingly, the original recipe included mixing the rice with cream soups, layering it with chicken, and baking until the rice was tender and the dish was bubbly. Variations may include vegetables like broccoli or peas. Chicken and rice casserole became a staple in many households during the 60s and 70s. Often served at gatherings and potlucks, it showcases its enduring popularity as a hearty, satisfying meal. Biscuits and beef. Who would have thunk it? Let's talk about this truly unique combination.
Today we are making this amazingly cheesy, creamy, delicious chicken broccoli casserole, okay? Otherwise known as chicken divan.
Chicken divan is an American casserole dish originating in the U.S., likely in the mid-20th century. It's believed to have been created at the Divan Parisien restaurant in New York City. The dish combines chicken, broccoli, and a creamy sauce, often topped with cheese and breadcrumbs. Chicken divan includes cooked chicken, usually shredded or diced, and broccoli. The cream sauce is made from cream of chicken soup, mayonnaise, or a homemade white sauce. Cheddar cheese adds flavor, often mixed with melted butter, and breadcrumbs provide a crunchy topping. The original recipe involves layering chicken and broccoli in a baking dish, covering it with a creamy sauce, and topping it with cheese and breadcrumbs before baking until golden. The rise of convenience foods and perception of being outdated has led to its decline. Despite this, it remains a nostalgic comfort food for many, showcasing its enduring appeal. Banana pudding, a dessert with deep roots in American history, first emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Imagine it being a star at social gatherings, picnics, and potlucks, beloved for its comforting simplicity and delightful taste. Bananas, not native to America, arrived from the West Indies before the Civil War and soon flooded in from the Caribbean and Central America, thanks to improved shipping and clever marketing. Banana pudding owes a nod to the English trifle, a layered dessert of custard, fruit, and sponge cake. The first recorded banana pudding recipe in 1888 featured bananas and sponge cake topped with chilled custard and whipped cream. The introduction of vanilla wafers by the National Biscuit Company, Nabisco, revolutionized the recipe, making it easier to prepare. Although banana pudding's popularity has waned since World War II, it remains a cherished treat at some family gatherings and southern picnics. As we explore the history of banana pudding, a dessert steeped in tradition and beloved for its simplicity, can you guess what classic American dessert with a different twist we'll dive into next? Let's explore the comforting layers of Apple Brown Betty and uncover its sweet past.
Ah, Chili Mac. This is the dinner that my youngest son probably requests the most.
Chili Mac casserole is a comforting dish, combining chili and macaroni, primarily found in the U.S. It gained popularity in the mid-20th century and became a household staple during the 1960s and 70s. Chili Mac casserole is cooked with elbow macaroni, ground beef or turkey, canned tomatoes, chili beans, chili seasoning mix, and cheese like cheddar. Optional ingredients include corn, green chilies, or bell peppers. The recipe involves cooking macaroni, browning meat with onions and garlic, and mixing it with seasoning, tomatoes, and beans. This mixture is combined with macaroni and topped with cheese and baked until golden. Chili Mac casserole became famous as an easy, one-dish meal prepared with pantry staples, ideal for busy families. The dish is still enjoyed today, especially during colder months or as a hearty weeknight meal. Next on our list is Swiss steak casserole, which is famous for all the right reasons. Stuffed pepper casserole tastes like traditional stuffed peppers and then turns them into a simple dish. It became popular in the U.S. in the mid-20th century as a family-friendly meal. Stuffed pepper casserole is made with beef or turkey, bell peppers, onion, garlic, canned diced tomatoes, white rice, cheddar cheese, beef broth, and seasonings. To make it, brown the meat with onions and garlic, add diced peppers and tomatoes, then mix in uncooked rice and broth. The casserole is baked until the rice is done and the flavors come together, often with cheese melted. Stuffed pepper casserole is still a favorite comfort food for many families. It's often served at gatherings and is a handy option for busy weeknight dinners. Next up, we have the dream of every vegetarian, eggplant parmesan casserole. If you love seafood, the next dish is just for you. We have a seafood casserole now. Seafood casserole has roots in American cuisine, particularly in coastal regions, and has become popular in the mid-20th century. It reflects the influence of seafood-rich cultures, especially from New England. You'll need shrimp, crab, scallops, and whitefish like cod or flounder to make a seafood casserole. Vegetables such as onions, celery, bell peppers, and mushrooms are common. The base often consists of cream of mushroom soup or a homemade creamy sauce made with milk, butter, and flour. Rice or macaroni and seasonings like Worcestershire sauce, Dijon mustard, salt, and pepper enhance the flavor. The original recipe involves sautéing vegetables, mixing them with seafood in a creamy sauce, and combining them with rice or pasta. It's topped with breadcrumbs and baked until golden. Its hearty nature made it famous for family meals. Despite declining, it remains a comforting dish, especially in coastal areas.
Thanks for the Brown Betty. All right, let's dig into that Apple Betty. Hey, get your own. The boy gave it to me. It was meant for both of us.
Apple Brown Betty is a comforting dessert that brings back memories of simpler times, having been a beloved treat since colonial days. The first mention of Apple Brown Betty dates back to 1864 in the Yale Literary Magazine. This humble dessert combines sweet apples, fragrant spices, and a twist, breadcrumbs or oats. Layers of sliced apples are interspersed with these sweetened crumbs, creating a delightful contrast of textures. The name Betty likely comes from the British term brown Betty, referring to a baked pudding made with layers of fruit and buttered breadcrumbs. American settlers adapted this concept using local ingredients like apples. To make it, you peel and slice tart apples, toss them with cinnamon, nutmeg, and brown sugar, and layer them with buttered breadcrumbs or oats. When baked, it's best served warm with vanilla ice cream or whipped cream. Whoopie pies was a dessert that sparked a friendly rivalry between New England and Pennsylvania. These treats, with their whimsical name, bring to mind cozy kitchens, generations of bakers, and the sweet scent of chocolate. New England claims the origin with the Berwick Cake Company in Roxbury, Massachusetts, where whoopie pies were advertised in 1931. Conversely, Amish kitchens in Pennsylvania tell a different tale, where Amish cooks supposedly crafted these from extra cake batter. Grasshopper pie, with its fun name and mini charm, came from the lively cocktail culture of the 1950s and 60s. Despite its name, there are no actual grasshoppers involved. The pie's name comes from the grasshopper cocktail, a forgotten drink from that time made with green creme de menthe, white creme de cacao, and heavy cream resembling a minty milkshake with a boozy twist. The pie shares similar ingredients, combining whipped cream with marshmallows or cream cheese and flavored with creme de menthe and creme de cacao. This creates a fluffy mint Oreo delight on a chocolate cookie crust. Light green and refreshing, grasshopper pie became a popular Easter dessert, often served at springtime gatherings, delighting guests with its minty taste. However, it eventually faded from popularity, perhaps due to its rich dairy content clashing with modern preferences. What about another iconic Southern treat that also features pecans? Let's dive into the history and irresistible allure of pecan pie. Pecan pie, known for its gooey texture and nutty flavor, has been a beloved Southern dessert for generations. This classic recipe, which includes sugar, butter, corn syrup, eggs, vanilla extract, and pecans, is simple enough for beginners but delivers a rich taste. The origins of pecan pie are unclear. Some believe it started when Native Americans gave pecans to French settlers in New Orleans in the 18th century. By the 1870s, pecan pie recipes appeared in Texas cookbooks, though it likely existed earlier. The pie gained popularity in the 1920s thanks to Karo syrup bottles featuring a recipe, with the modern version emerging in the 1930s. Despite its decline due to changing taste and health concerns, pecan pie remains a favorite during Thanksgiving and special occasions. So, whether you say pecan or pecan, this dessert is a timeless classic.
It is time to make my favorite childhood dish, baked ziti. I don't know about you, but this with a little bit of garlic cheesy bread was gonna hit every single time.
Baked ziti is a well-loved Italian-American dish that originated in the U.S. during the early to mid-20th century. It traces back to traditional Italian baked pasta dishes like pasta al forno and pasta au gratin, which Italian immigrants adapted to suit American tastes. Baked ziti includes ziti pasta, marinara sauce, ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, and ground meat like beef or sausage. The original recipe involves cooking the ziti until al dente, mixing it with tomato sauce and cheese, and baking until bubbly and golden. Variations may include layering the ingredients or adding vegetables. Baked ziti became a staple in Italian-American cuisine, especially in areas with significant Italian populations. Its ability to be made in large quantities made it ideal for family gatherings and celebrations. Even today, baked ziti remains a nostalgic comfort food, cherished for its flavors and ease of preparation. As famous as the opera singer it was named after, turkey tetrazzini is next on the list.
I'm gonna prepare shepherd's pie. You're looking for a dish to prepare, this is it.
Shepherd's pie is a traditional dish from the UK, especially Scotland and Ireland. The first documented reference dates back to 1791. It was created to use leftover roasted meat, mainly lamb or mutton, combined with vegetables and topped with mashed potatoes. The ingredients for shepherd's pie include ground lamb, mashed potatoes, onions, carrots, peas, gravy, broth, and seasonings. The original recipe involved sautéing onions and vegetables, browning the meat, and mixing it with gravy. This mixture was placed in a baking dish, topped with mashed potatoes, and baked until golden. Shepherd's pie became popular among the working class in Ireland and Britain in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. It was a delicious meal using leftover meat and inexpensive ingredients like potatoes. Despite trends toward lighter meals, shepherd's pie remains a beloved dish, often served in homes and pubs, especially during colder months or festive occasions. Let's talk about chili mac casserole, the delicious meal from the era of tasty foods.
There's not much better out there than a mouth-watering tender cube steak smothered in a delicious tomato and onion gravy.
Swiss steak casserole originated in the U.S. in the early to mid-20th century as a variation of traditional Swiss steak. It involves a tough cut of beef, like round or chuck steak, in a tomato-based sauce. This recipe uses steak, flour, oil, onions, celery, carrots, garlic, canned tomatoes or tomato sauce, beef broth, and other seasonings. Sometimes potatoes or other vegetables are also added. The original recipe involves adding the steak to seasoned flour, browning it in oil, and cooking it with vegetables, tomatoes, and broth in a casserole dish. This dish is baked until the meat is tender and the flavors meld together. Swiss steak casserole was a way to stretch resources and use inexpensive meat cuts in your meals. It remains a beloved comfort food for many.
Fresh salmon cakes. That's right, we've done these before, but we've used canned salmon, which is how I normally do it.
Remember those Friday nights when the kitchen smelled of Mom's homemade salmon patties sizzling away in the skillet? Made from canned salmon, breadcrumbs, and eggs, these golden treasures were a staple on our dinner tables. Mom would mix everything, form the patties, and fry them to crispy perfection. We'd eagerly gather around the table, our mouths watering as we anticipated that first bite. The taste was pure comfort, a delightful blend of savory flavors with a satisfying crunch. Paired with mashed potatoes and a side of green peas, it was a meal that brought the family together. Every bite took us to a place of warmth and love, reminding us of simpler times when the biggest worry was finishing homework before dinner. Do you remember those cozy Sunday evenings when the whole family gathered around the dinner table for Swiss steak? Now, let's return to that meal that always stole the show at the dinner table.
I'm going to be making a pineapple casserole, and this isn't it's a really great dish to go if you're like serving ham.
The classic ham and pineapple casserole was a beloved staple for every baby boomer kid. The sweet and savory combination created a delightful culinary experience that stood out among family meals. Chunks of juicy ham mingled with tangy pineapple, all topped with a crispy breadcrumb crust, made for an unforgettable dish. At family gatherings and potlucks, this casserole stole the show. The tantalizing aroma filled the house as it was baked in the oven, drawing everyone to the kitchen in eager anticipation. When it was finally served, we couldn't wait to dig in. Each bite offered a perfect blend of flavors and textures: the savory ham, the sweet pineapple, and the crunchy breadcrumb topping. Moms knew to make extra, anticipating the inevitable request for seconds and even thirds. The ham and pineapple casserole was more than just a meal. It was a comforting tradition that brought together families and created lasting memories.
Porcupine meatballs, a budget recipe that's been around since or before the Great Depression.
Porcupine meatballs were a beloved staple at family dinners, capturing the essence of comfort food. These delightful meatballs, made from ground beef and finely chopped onions, featured little rice spikes that gave them their distinctive look. The aroma filled the house as they simmered on the stovetop in a savory tomato sauce, promising a delicious meal. The rice inside the meatballs would cook perfectly, soaking up the rich tomato flavor and creating a satisfying bite. Each meatball was a fun, kid-pleasing treat, making dinner time something to look forward to. The combination of tender beef and the playful texture of the rice turned these meatballs into more than just a meal. They were a nostalgic reminder of family togetherness and simple pleasures.